Hello children, welcome back to this video class on Indian history. In our previous video we studied how British historians divided or periodized Indian history, and we move forward from there. We have seen that the British historians, especially James Mill, periodized or divided Indian history into three phases: Hindu, Muslim, and British. And he gave too much importance to religion. So when he said Hindu and Muslim periods, he was referring to the religion of the rulers. It is as if the religion and culture of the people did not matter to him. And of course, later our historians adopted a new classification. They gave the names ancient, medieval, and modern or colonial period to the modern period. So ancient refers to the very early civilization, and then medieval refers to what you studied in your class 7th, and then modern period is from the arrival of British. So some historians even don't accept the word modern. Instead they say colonial period, because modern means from vocabulary point of view, it refers to development and progress. But unfortunately, that period is not synonymous with progress. The British period, in fact, brought so many hardships to the Indian people. So many people actually prefer the word colonial period to the word modern period. So let us go from here to the next topic. So I told you already that this phase, this British phase, has more sources for writing history than the previous phases. Now, what are the important sources for writing history? So the most obviously the most important source or sources for writing history are the official records. So Britishers were very obsessed with maintaining record of everything they did. So all the administrative decisions, all the important events, all the important documents were carefully preserved by the British people. So they believed that we should maintain a complete record of what is happening. So records were maintained by the British people at various levels, at the Tehsildar level, then at the collectorate level, then at the secretary level, and at various levels they maintained official documents and records. Even the courts maintained records of everything that happened within their jurisdiction. So these records help us understand how the government was run in those days. They help us understand why certain decisions were taken the way they were taken, and what the officials thought about what was happening at that time, how they responded to the to the revolts of the people, and everything. In fact, everything that was happening in the government can be understood by studying these official records. So these records that were maintained by the British government form a very important source for reconstructing the history of this period. So in fact, the Britishers attached so much importance that they established archives. So this building that you see here is now in New Delhi. It is called National Archives of India. These two photos are the same. Okay, and it was established in the 1920s. And what the Britishers did was they carefully collected all the important documents, official documents, and preserved them in this building. It is called National Archives of India. Archives means collection of old documents, important documents. So this building is called National Archives of India, and for historians this is a very important resource So they go there, they study the documents preserved by the British, and they write history based on these accounts. Okay, so is this clear? So the records maintained by the Britishers formed a very important source for reconstruction of Indian history of that period. And then not only the Britishers maintained records, but they conducted several surveys. So if you want to govern a country, you must know the country very well. You must know the people, you must know the language, you must know the flora and fauna, everything. So they took India very seriously. They knew that India was a very important colony. You know, India was the biggest colony at the time. Of course, America was bigger, but the situation, the scenario about America is different. So India was, if you take population and other factors, India was a very important colony for the British, and they took it very seriously. They conducted various surveys. The Britishers conducted various surveys. They conducted a survey of the crops. They conducted a survey of the plants and the animals in various regions. They even conducted archaeological surveys. Archaeology, study of ancient buildings, forts, to understand the history of that period. And then they conducted anthropological surveys. They study how human societies develop and evolve. So they conducted various surveys of India. Not only this, they conducted and made land records. They conducted surveys of land and made very important records which we use even till date. So most of our present day land surveys are based on the work done by the British surveyors. Okay, so in fact they did excellent work, and they collected so much information about various parts of India. Okay, and flora and fauna means, flora means the plants, and fauna means animals. So they even studied the different plants that are seen in India. They studied the different animals found in various parts of India. So they made elaborate surveys. So look at this picture. You can see this was prepared by James Prinsep, a very important scholar. And you can see in this picture the survey equipment here. Okay, can you see that equipment? And then you can see the people working on the survey. Look at this person is surveying, is actually doing some measurement, and they took the work very seriously. And these records are also very important for historians. Okay, but remember, whatever the British did, they did only from their point of view. As I told you, if you look at the official records, they actually narrate events, they judge the happenings from the Britishers' point of view. So what you see when you go through these official records is the official version, but unfortunately official version may not be 100% true. So what are the other sources on which we can rely? The newspaper reports, of course. So newspapers were introduced into our country during the British rule, and there were newspapers in English and even in regional languages, and they carried accounts of happenings. And who wrote these papers? Who prepared these reports? Of course, the common people. So newspaper accounts are, you can say, are realistic accounts of what people thought and felt. Okay, and in fact, they played a very crucial role in mobilizing the people during the freedom movement. But there is one problem here, even with newspaper accounts. They were written by only the literate people, people who could read and write, and only these were actually addressed to the educated people. So again, we miss the accounts of poor and ordinary people, people who could not read and write. Perhaps they did not have much contribution for what was said in these newspapers. So one source is the official accounts, the official records. The second source is the newspaper records, and then we have some more records like what the pilgrims have written during their travels in India. And then of course we have autobiographies, and then we have the diaries of people. all these things help us understand Indian history during this period. So you can see that most of what we are talking about are actually written records. When we talk about ancient history, we don't have much that many written records. Most of what we know actually came from archaeological evidences. What archaeologists collected on site, the coins and other artifacts that they collected, they help us reconstruct the history of that period. But whereas for the period we are talking about, for the colonial period, we make use of these written records, because we have so much so much content available to reconstruct the history of this period. Okay, and as I told you, official records give us the government version, newspapers give us a reasonably realistic account from the perspective of the ordinary people. And then we have folk stories, folk songs, and then diaries, then travelers accounts, and then stories and novels written during this period, which tell us so much about what was happening from various people's point of view. So when we try to reconstruct the history, we should take all these sources. So each source has its own advantages and disadvantages. In fact, no source is highly reliable. Maybe newspapers are more reliable because people read newspapers and you just cannot bluff people. Okay, so historians make use of all these resources to reconstruct the past. Now look at one more thing. Let me show you this picture. This picture was drawn by a British artist, and there was a caption also added to this picture. You can't see that caption in this picture. He says, the mutineers plundering or sharing the booty, the mutineers. So this is a picture of 1857 Sepoy mutiny. We'll study more about that in our later chapters. And you can see the Sepoys here. They are actually sharing what they plundered from the Britishers and from the government. So this is the image the Britishers wanted to project of our Sepoy mutiny. So they regarded these Sepoys as people who plundered, like almost like thieves. Can we accept this version now? Definitely not. Maybe there were certain events that happened like this, but the Sepoys mutinied not because they wanted to get that gold and money, but they mutinied because they did not accept the bad treatment given to them by the British officials. They did not like the way they were treated. They did not like the way the people of India were treated. So that was so their revolt was a response to the British treatment of Indian people in general and Indian Sepoys in particular. But the Britishers did not want that projection. They projected the Sepoy mutiny. In fact, they used the word Sepoy mutiny. And some Indian historians who wrote Indian history, they called it the first war of independence. So look at the difference in the titles. So history is, as I told you in the previous class, is subjective. It is open to interpretation. Different people write history in different ways, and when we read history, we should always keep that point, keep that important aspect in our mind. No history is perfect. Neither the history written by the Britishers nor the histories written by Indians are perfect. You read both and you see both, and then you try to understand, you try to judge. So it's not that everything that the Britishers did was bad. As I told you, they did so much work like surveying India. Not only that, they contributed so much to our languages also. For example, many British scholars, they studied Indian languages, and they admired our culture and the languages, the scholars especially. For example, Sir William Jones, he studied Sanskrit. He translated Bhagavad Gita into European languages, and then they have made dictionaries for Indian languages. We have an excellent example in our Andhra Pradesh also. A person by name what is his name? Charles Philip Brown. He translated Telugu into English, Telugu words into English. He prepared excellent dictionary. That was the first dictionary of Telugu language. And Britishers learned our languages. They actually enriched our languages. They took our languages to Europe. They translated our works into English and other languages. They introduced our literature to the world. So if you read the British history, we have to read it from various the British Indian history. We should not regard it just we should not just regard the political aspects. Look at the other aspects also. In a way, they enriched our culture. And not only that, I talked about archaeological surveys, and during these surveys, these British archaeologists, they explored so much about our Indian history that most of what we know today about ancient history, our ancient history, is actually their effort. In fact, it was Britishers who told us about the Indus Valley civilization. It was Britishers who told us about Ashoka the Great. It was Britishers who actually deciphered our Brahmi script. So their contributions cannot be overlooked. Let us appreciate their contributions, and at the same time, let us not ignore how they exploited our Indian people, how they plundered our wealth. So we have both positive and negative sides to the British rule. Okay, so as we go along, we explore and we study how the Britishers exploited Indian people, how their policies made our people poorer and poorer, and how their policies brought so many changes politically, socially, economically, even in education. So many changes changes took place in India. We'll study them one by one, but don't forget the fact that we study all these things from our perspective, not from the British perspective. Okay, now as an activity, what you can do is try to collect things that have considerable history in your home. Perhaps you can search for a book, a very old book that belongs to your grandparents. You can collect some old documents, any document, and see what they tell. So when you read those documents, those books, you see so many interesting things. Okay, you understand how historians study history and bring it to us to enjoy. Okay, so thank you, and in our next lesson we move on to the next chapter. Okay, so please read this lesson at least 2-3 times, understand all the themes. You should develop the vocabulary also. Reading history presents this important challenge. Unless your language is good, you cannot really appreciate what is written there. So develop your vocabulary, understand every word, use a dictionary if necessary, and in case you have any difficulty, of course you can call me and you can let me know all your problems. Thank you.